Well, some big seasons in juniors and overseas has us thinking, is the Lightning prospect pool better than most people give it credit for?
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Lightning. I'm Nick Morgan. That's my partner in crime, Greg Stephen. And we have a big show for you today. Before we dive in, I want to mention today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, the youth is on fire. I'm never going to do that again. But Sam O'Reilly and Benjamin Rautiainen having some amazing seasons for their respective junior teams. Can we see both in the NHL next year? Plus, another question for Julien BriseBois to consider. Is it time to maybe go with a new backup goaltender in net to go with Andrei Vasilevskiy? We'll dive into that, plus NHL playoff action last night. But first, Greg, let's talk about the future of the Tampa Bay Lightning, particularly the young guns on the team. It just seems like every year, no first-round draft picks, no really second-round draft picks. They're always ranked low in the prospect pool rankings, but yet it seems like every year there's a new face that John Cooper and Julien BriseBois are integrating into the lineup successfully.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think the best place to start with this conversation is Dominic James. Came out of kind of nowhere this season, right? I mean, it's not a guy on our radar that we thought was going to be implemented into the lineup, consecutively or long term. And turns out he actually found a really good spot on this team. And he is a young guy. And that's so good for the Lightning. They need to start bringing these younger guys in and giving them bigger roles. And I thought they did a great job with Gage so far. And this season, it's been Dominic James in my eyes. And that's just the beginning.
Yeah, and not just them, but I would say Declan Carlisle, another guy who has been in the Lightning system for a long time. Maybe you could call him maybe a little bit overripe. Comes in here, has a big year on the defense. You also look at somebody like Declan Carlisle, who I would say kind of fits that bill as well. Both of them, I think, prove that they can have, I think, particularly like maybe low bottom four, like maybe second pair or third pair potential in the NHL for years to come. And that answers or leads me to the question that I want to ask today, Greg, is that I think a lot of people are looking at the Lightning in terms of this window, this cup window, and the age of somebody like Victor Hedman or Nikita Kucherov or even Andrei Vasilevskiy. And I think when you look at the Lightning youth, I think that there's more there than I think a lot of people around the NHL are giving the Bolt system credit for.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, we'll get into more specific players in a little bit here, but I think over the last several years, we've seen them, have guys in the pool. And you're right. I think Carlisle, Crozier, Dominic James, Gage Gonsalves, all new fresh faces for this team. And I think that's good for the future. I think they've all shown that they can play at the level that they need to play. And they're all getting bigger roles with the team now.
Yeah. And that's just the Lightning MO, isn't it? It's just finding some random guys and developing them. I mean, look, Braden Point was a third round pick.
Yeah.
Anthony Cirelli was a third round pick. Nikita Kucherov was the last second or third pick in the second round of his draft. So I think they're proving that you don't necessarily need to tank and get these top 5 picks. You can find some good players and develop them no matter where they come from. And the Lightning have just done a successful job of that over the years. There are a couple of people that I want to talk about specifically. And one of them is Sam O'Reilly, who is having an unbelievable year right now. He's on the Kitchener Rangers, just won his third consecutive OHL championship. He won the last 2 with the London Knights. He's going to the Memorial Cup for the 3rd season in a row. 28 points, including 17 goals in 18 games played this year in the postseason. Greg, this is a guy, of course, the big headline for him was he was the guy the Lightning got in the Isaac Howard trade. And I think there's a lot of consensus at the time. We're not exactly sure what the ceiling is for Sam O'Reilly. And I think you've seen it this year. He's a guy that I think is maybe challenging the ceiling a lot of people had for him, which is just a really solid, maybe middle six guy. I think he is proving in the right situation. He's somebody that can keep growing into somebody that you maybe build one of your top two lines around.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I feel like he's shown that in big moments, he's still a star player. And I think that's going to be really important for the Lightning's future. They're going to need guys who are like a Nikita Kucherov type, where they embrace the moment and they thrive under the big moments. And I don't know that we've seen that a lot from Kuch in recent years, but we have in the past. And I think that he's shown that he can do that. Like in the Canada U20, that 7 games, he had 8 points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's done it. And I like that a lot. And I like what you said earlier too, about how the Lightning have done such a good job of developing players. And it doesn't matter that you don't have that first round, like you said. It's about like the culture and the upbringing of that player through the system. And I think the Lightning have arguably like one of the top 3, if not the best system right now in the NHL. They've shown that over the last decade.
Yeah. I mean, look at Brandon Hagel. Like, I think when you got him, it's like, okay, that's a lot to give up for somebody who's going to be like a second, third line gritty winger. And now he's, doing gangbusters and putting up great numbers and on the Canada Olympic team. I think that's just another example of that kind of development that the Lightning have become known for over the year. And I look at somebody like Sam O'Reilly, and Greg, this was a guy that I think really stood out to me in the development camp this year and the little bit of time he got in preseason. He's somebody that for his age, I think you see a lot of, IQ of somebody who plays, is maybe like 5 years older than him. He had the hockey IQ. It was just, does he have like the finishing, does he have the scoring sense? Does he have the outright speed? And I think you've seen him put that a little bit together this year. Best scoring season of his career in juniors, especially took off when he went from London to Kitchener this year. So I think that just kind of, goes to show you a little bit that it's about the development. And I don't think you can maybe just take guys at face value. Like, I think if you're the Lightning, you want to see what these guys are able to do. And Sam O'Reilly is a guy to me that I could see him in the NHL next year as a third line guy to start out with, and maybe somebody who gets some power play time. Not saying that's the case. I mean, I know the Lightning are going to be very careful. They're not going to rush him in. They've already got 3 good centers in Point, Cirelli, and Yanni Gourde, so there's no need to rush. But if they went that way, he's somebody that I think his game, he wouldn't look out of place even as a 21-year-old rookie.
No, yeah. And another thing I like about him, 6'1". And he's still able to put up these kind of points, and he's a bigger guy. And you're right. I think right now it's not like the Lightning are immediately looking to him this very moment, but I think he's there. And you're right. If they do need him, I think it's not unreasonable to think that they'll bring him in. And I think it also, kind of reflects back on our other point about Braden Point. Is he going to return to Braden Point next season? I don't know. We don't know. I hope he does. But, let's say this is the beginning of the end of him, right? I mean, now you're looking at these next guys, and he's one of them. Really, he is.
Yeah. Another guy that I want to talk about. Do you remember the name Saku Koivu, Greg?
Of course I do.
Legendary NHL player, was one of the best Finnish prospects ever to come through Liga. Well, there's a Lightning prospect that did something no one since Saku Koivu has done, and he's already written his name in the history books as a 20-year-old. Let's talk about him when we get back on Locked on Lightning. Today's episode is brought to you by KALSHI. The hunt for the Stanley Cup is on, and right now you can trade every game on KALSHI. That's right, on KALSHI you can trade every single playoff game, every series, the conference finals, even the Stanley Cup Finals. For instance, big game coming up between Minnesota and Colorado. Colorado can put it away. Right now, Colorado is trading at 66%, which means if you want to put $100 down on Colorado wrapping this thing up, you can earn $152. How about Vegas and Anaheim? Vegas did good to win that game in overtime last night. Are they going to win Game 6? Well, if they do, they're trading at 62%, which means a $100 bet can get you $167 on KALSHI. On KALSHI, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the KALSHI app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. That's right, just put $10 down and you can get $10 free to wager however you want. KALSHI, KALSHI, trade on anything. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. Well, that's why Cotton Candy 5 Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that classic cotton candy taste that you remember from childhood, but with a tasty caffeine boost and zero sugar. It's quick, easy, and an easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. I've always loved cotton candy, but let's be honest, guy my age, I can't be eating just processed sugar all day long, so this is the perfect alternative. I love how convenient it is. It's just a small portable shot that I can grab whenever I need a little pick-me-up. I keep them in the office. I keep them by my front door as I'm ready to head out the door so I can get a little energy boost anywhere. It's become my go-to for when I want something sweet without going overboard. So bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5 Hour Energy Shots, available online now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Back here on Locked on Lightning, Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. And Greg, a name that Lightning fans should get to know, Benjamin Rautiainen. If you haven't seen what this guy is doing over in the Finnish league, you're going to want to take note. 77 points this year as a 20-year-old, Greg. To put that in perspective, 77 points, it's not just the leading scorer for Liga this season. It is the 8th best scoring season of all time in the history of the Finnish Hockey League. That's pretty unbelievable. As a 20-year-old.
Yeah, it's crazy, honestly. And you know what else this shows? It kind of goes back to your other point about draft order not really playing a huge role. 4th round pick, by the way.
Yeah.
So, wow. That's a bright spot for the Lightning, huh?
Yeah. And look, the Liga is a grown man's league. Like, it's not just a development league. Like, there is pros that have been playing for 10, 15 years in this league, including a lot of former NHLers. He is only the second 20-year-old to score 70 or more points in a season. The only other one was Saku Koivu all the way back in 1995, a guy that wound up having a nearly 2-decade career in the NHL. This guy's game, I love it, Greg. Like, I absolutely love what he's doing overseas. I do think – I know that there's maybe some concerns about his size, but I think just his skill and his speed translate well to the NHL. This is a guy that I think is going to be a gem for the Tampa Bay Lightning this year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, it's similar to O'Reilly where you're showing your ability in a big boy league, just like you said. And it's under pressure. You're playing with people who have played this sport for a long time. It's not just up and comers or anything like that. And to be plus 24, 77 points at 59 games at 20 years old, remarkable. And like you said, Saku Koivu, last person to do this, that's a legend right there. And that was 30 years ago, 31 years ago now. So to be the first person to do that in that long, I mean, that means something, right?
Yeah, Greg, I would say that those two, O'Reilly and Rautiainen, cream of the crop in terms of Lightning prospects right now. Both of them recently have been having some great success in the postseason. in their respective leagues. But for me, the Lightning pool doesn't just end with those two. There's a lot of guys that I think can make an impact in the next couple of years or so. You talk about a guy like Connor Geekie, had a great year, I guess now 2 seasons ago. Didn't exactly work the way he wanted to this year, but I mean, the guy's still 21, a long way to go in his development. You talk about some guys like Dylan Duke, Ethan Gauthier, guys that I still think we're trying to figure out, or at least, guys that we see, like there's something there. There's I think some talent there. Is just figuring out, sort of where they fit in the Lightning picture long term. So, I mean, no, like the Lightning aren't the Chicago Blackhawks or San Jose Sharks where they have all these blue chip prospects that you look at and say, that's an NHL All-Star. That's an NHL All-Star. But I still think if you're looking at depth, for any holes coming up in the Lightning lineup, I think there are guys here that are ready to step up and sort of develop into good NHL players for the next, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I agree. And we talked a lot about Dylan Duke, prior to this season. And I kind of thought we'd see a little more of him this season, but I guess, the Lightning are pretty stacked. So not a lot of space there for him, but he's there. And just like all these other guys we're talking about, I think Dylan Duke is a great example of a guy who he shows great captainship ability as well. And he's like that kind of all around, you want him on your team, has a good voice in the locker room type player for me. And he's a guy I think also, like you said, will be a 10 to 15 year guy. And I like that a lot. I think you said something earlier about, people underestimate the Lightning's pool. And I think that's actually 100% accurate. There's so much talent here. And we've, gone into 2 guys that unbelievable, right? And there's so many more. Again, like you're already using James and Gage. And those 2 to me are excellent. I think if you give those 2 players a few more years, they're going to be, what you're used to seeing from Hagel and Cirelli. I really do believe that. I think they're great. And I don't see why these other players can't be that way as well, especially in a system that we know is so good at developing talent and just brings these players, no matter what draft place they've been placed in or when they've been taken or how they've been viewed prior to a season. The Lightning know how to shape players, and I think they'll be able to do that with a lot of these guys.
Yeah, and Dominic James, a guy that really wasn't on our radar too much before this season. So who knows who else is just out there right now that could make an impact. It should be an interesting. Yeah, 27 years old, no better time to jumpstart your NHL development than then. Yeah. Even look at a guy like Darren Radich this year. The Lightning know how to build guys. I will say that. Maybe, and that's kind of been the bread and butter for the last 15 years, is that they really know how to develop guys. Maybe one guy that I would love to see the Lightning develop, Greg, is a backup goaltender. Because let's talk about the other big topic of the day, and that is the question: are the Lightning comfortable running it back with Jonas Johansson next year, backing up Andrei Vasilevskiy? Or, Greg, is it time to kick the tires on a different backup option? I'm deferring to you, man.
We'll see. I think I want to talk about his stats a lot. So we should definitely go there. But I think they're cool with Jojo right now. I think until you see true, actual decline from Vasi, it's just not a spot on the roster that I'm prioritizing. So I think if you're offered or somehow it just falls into your lap that you can get another goaltender that is, absolutely better, sure. Until then, how much do you value having a good backup right now? I think Vasi showed this year that he's a guy.
Yeah, but the Lightning are actively losing games where Jonas Johansson is a backup goaltender. I'm going to throw some stats at you, Greg. So last year, 66 goaltenders played at least 20 games. And that could be starts. That could be, whatever. Jonas Johansson was 56 among those 66 in goals saved above expected, minus 10.4 goals saved above expected, which does translate to, based on the amount of time he played, let's like be safe and say that's about 1 goal every 2 games that 80% of NHL goaltenders stop. And to me, that is, kind of a problem. And it's not just that, but here's the thing. With Andrei Vasilevskiy, I think there are, questions about health long term. I mean, although he did good this year, yes, he is one of the best goalies in the NHL. Yes, he is a game changer, as we've seen this year, and the stats back it up. He ranked 4th among goalies in goals saved above expected this year. But it's also what happens when he's not out there. And are you just looking at the second half of back-to-back and saying, let's just really hope this is a 5-4 game? Or is there another option out there that you're saying it's like, you know what, we've seen around the NHL having a backup option can actually shift a season around a little bit. And that's maybe my take, is that I just don't know the past 2 years if you've gotten what you want from Jonas Johansson.
Look, I think that's fair to say. I do believe that. I think, especially looking at the numbers, like you've just cited, I think those are glaring issues. But here's going to be my very simple counter argument. You got into the playoffs, and you went to round 1, and Jojo didn't play a single game and he lost. So,
but that's not like. Here's the thing, like what if Andrei Vasilevskiy gets hurt? Then what?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think you can look and it's like, we have Vasilevskiy. We don't need to worry about. I'm not saying they need to go out and get a 1B like Scott Wedgwood or Mackenzie Blackwood in Colorado, but I mean, you're paying this guy $1.25 million to put up numbers that a guy who's making 800,000 is making next season. That's my take. And I think I've seen in the NHL a lot teams that underestimate the backup goaltender. I've seen it blow up in their face.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I do. I guess my point is more that while I think it could be better, it's just like not why you're not having success right now.
I'm not
but
saying
I agree.
That's not why they're having success.
I know you're not. I'm just saying, like, that's why I wouldn't prioritize it. But I still think it's, if you can find another goaltender, like, let's just get him in, I guess. It's just like right now I'm so concerned about paying Radish potentially. And I think you're right. It's like you can get a goaltender that does the same thing that Jojo does for less money. But I just don't know, like, where are you getting that right now is my other thing. It's like, I don't know who are you like trading for, or like, who are you? I just don't know how that would even work right now.
Yeah, I agree. Not a priority, but I also don't think it's something that you can just be like, we're fine with Jojo for another year. I do think there's got to be a balance. So.
That's totally fair. And I mean, he's won 50% of his games this season. Yeah, he was like 11-10. So again, not excellent.
Yeah. Sure.
You're not on the Jojo wagon.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I don't think that's the best backup option the Lightning can roll with right now. I understand it's the one they may be stuck with, but whatever, Crick, whatever. I know it's not on top of the JBB to-do list next year. Let's talk about some NHL playoff action when we come back, including a series in Buffalo, and are the Wild going to exit out at the hands of the Colorado Avalanche? Let's dive into that when we come back on Locked on Lightning. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like watching playoff hockey live and in person. The intensity, the rivalries, the crowd. It's just different when you're in the building versus watching it on TV. Playoffs are some of the best moments in sports, and being there in person is something I think every fan should experience at least once in their lifetime. Game Time makes it incredibly easy to find tickets, even for those high-demand playoff games, in just a few taps. And with the Game Time guarantee, you know you're getting 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. I'm at the point where if any event is coming to my town, a sporting event, concert, comedy show, Game Time is the first app I check. It's perfect to find some incredible seats, even for events you think are impossible to get into. The app is super easy to use, and you can find tickets fast with just a few taps of your phone. One of my favorite features is the seat view. You can actually see what your view will look like before you buy, which makes a huge difference. You know you're not getting stuck behind any weird poles, sightline obstructions, anything like that. And if you're in a pinch, try the zone deals. You pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for you, leaving us some big savings. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON spelled out for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We're back here on Locked On Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Steven. Greg, let's talk about some playoff action, shall we? We have a series between Buffalo and Montreal. Sabres knocking it back to 2-2 last night. Is this going to be? We're very high on the Montreal Canadiens last night, Greg.
Yeah.
Do we think it's a little bit more even now?
For sure. I mean, it literally is even.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matthias Samuelsson has been such an asset for the Sabres, man. And I think he shined in this game. I've seen so much controversy about this game, like online.
Oh yeah.
A lot of like penalty stuff. And I think someone like accused Dahlin of like deliberately cutting himself or something.
Did you see the clip that's going around ESPN? I think it was Dave Jackson, who's like, Dahlin's bleeding from his face. And he's like, if I'm the refs, I'm like, Dahlin, I think is doing a good job of fooling, he's scratching like an old wound on his lip. And you look and he just gets a stick like right in the middle of his face. And it's just like a hard stick right in the middle of his face. And you're like, okay, calm down, Dave.
Yeah. I will say that I'm happy this isn't the Lightning because there's just so much like drama around this series right now. I feel like with the reffing and the penalties and all that stuff. I guess it did exist in the first round too, but it seems really heightened right now between these two teams. But yeah, 2-2 Sabres got it done and they did it on the road. Good for them, especially as a newer team to the playoffs in a loud barn. And yeah, this is a great series, just like the first round. And I mean, that just leads me to the next series too. That series is also crazy close. The Ducks had 36 shots on goal, lost. Now it's 3-2 Knights, but Ducks bring it home now. So, man, both these series are excellent for me.
That's a series that, like, on paper seemed the closest. Like, would be a toss-up either. I mean, a toss-up either way. Just because neither one of them seemed like glaring cup contenders, but neither one of them are bad teams either.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one that I think was literally a toss-up going in. And more controversy last night, the Braden McNabb hit. It's funny to scroll Twitter after a play like that because it's like, you see somebody like, oh, that's a tough play, but that's not a dirty hit. The refs have to, it's a bang, bang play. And then you look and you watch the replay and the guy that took the puck from Ryan Poehling had already dumped it into the zone when Poehling got hit. And it's like, that's how late of a hit it was. And we're sitting here talking about, a bang, bang play, but it was a hockey play. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Again, more controversy with these series, and I love it. It's just so exciting. But yeah, crazy bang bang hit, if you will. Yeah. Yeah, I agree though. Like these two teams, I think neither of them were like cup contender favorites or anything like that, but still an awesome series to watch between these two teams. And then I guess we shift over to the Avs real quick too, because that's tonight. And wow, I really thought this was going to be 2-2. And it's not. And the Avs are home. So I think they have a pretty good opportunity here to get it done.
I'm not counting out the Wild. I mean,
No.
I think the Wild have played I don't want to say very well, but I think the Wild have played fine this series. I think they're up against a much better team, but I do think the Wild have some talent. So I'm not writing them off quite yet. It would be tough for me to see Colorado blowing the series at this point.
Yeah, at this point, 100% agree. Like, I just don't see why you don't close this out. If it's not today, you got 3 more to do it. So, yeah, I think we'll see. Yeah, I hope the Wild win, though. I'm not going to lie to you. I picked the Wild to go to the Cup, so.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, just to kind of get the momentum going and just kind of get some series going. Would love some drama here. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow on Locked On Lightning to talk about the results of that Colorado game. A lot more Lightning topics to get to as well. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Lightning. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We will see you tomorrow for a new episode. Take care.